Joe Biden did not exactly have a clear answer when asked if Trump should lose his political rights when the impeachment trial starts. Let's take a listen.
Trump should lose his political rights. Do you believe he should lose tomorrow when the impeachment starts?
I don't. Look, we've got an offer to come and testify. He's decided not to. We'll let the Senate work that out.
Are you talking?
That's pretty much as far as he's been willing to go. Democratic strategist, owner of JC Strategies, Jennifer Holdsworth-Karp, and Senior Director of Policy at the Conservative Partnership Institute, Rachel Bovard. They're back to give us their take on all of this. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Mm-hmm. Jen, let me start with you. That is about as extensive as comments as the Biden White House has decided to take here on impeachment. Yesterday, the White House press secretary repeatedly was like, look, we're not focused on that. We are focused on coronavirus relief. It seems that that's the right political tack in order to take this, despite the fact that everybody on Capitol Hill is, of course, focused on impeachment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's exactly the right tack. We came through 4 years of a presidency and a White House that commented on everything, that took politics to the nth degree, that made everything political. President Biden should continue to focus on what's going to help the American people, not the sideshow of impeachment.
Yeah, Rachel, I mean, it seems like a real learning, to be honest with you. And Biden has been smart. You know, he's smart during all the Stop the Steal insanity. He was kind of kept it quiet, tried not to add more fuel to the fire. And he seems to be taking the same approach here. And look, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think it's the right strategy. People care. If you ask people what they care about right now, they're much more interested in their health care, their jobs, and whether they get another check into their accounts than whatever's going to happen this week with impeachment.
Well, I think then that begs the question, why are they even doing it, right? Why is Joe Biden, the head of the Democrat Party, not commenting on something his Democrat Party is doing? And more so, the fact that he's focused on COVID relief, then why isn't the Senate actually wasting time on that instead of wasting time on impeaching a president who's not going to be convicted? We've already had a test vote on this a couple weeks ago with Rand Paul's constitutional point of order. They need 17 Republicans. They got 5. So they're going to waste a week impeaching a guy who's already left office. It sets a terrible precedent, and it's just a waste of time.
Well, it's interesting on that point, Rachel, because, and Jennifer, you can jump in on this. Biden, as far as we can tell, did not really want Trump to be impeached. He basically forced his hand. And in many cases before he took office, he was like, look, maybe we can do it later. Like, I'd rather get the government running. And as you point out, like, yeah, it is eating valuable floor time. What do you make of that, Jen?
Well, first, I think we need to focus on the fact that a Democrat Senate can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, unlike a Republican Senate. And it's the right thing to do. Democrats are going to do things because it's the right thing to do, even if there's a political downside. They're not going to do all the things for that reason, but we're going to do it far more often than the Republicans. Impeaching Donald Trump is the right thing to do. I think why President Biden was afraid for it to happen in the first days of his administration is because he did not want it to hijack his agenda. He did not want it to hijack the media cycle. It's going to this week, but hopefully the Senate dispenses with it in short order. Rachel, I think you're right. Yes, we had a test vote. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. I think that there's something to be said for saying that Donald Trump should never be allowed to hold office in the United States of America ever again. I personally support his removal so that is one of the punishments afforded by the Constitution. But I think President Biden is just trying to focus on his agenda, making sure that it doesn't become another Washington sideshow. But it's the right thing to do. That's why it's being done.
Yeah, and Rachel, it's easy now to say, oh, for sure, he's not going to be convicted. And I think you're right about that. But that was not always super clear when you had Mitch McConnell out there floating potential conviction, when you had Republicans fleeing from him and elites continuing to flee from him. So, look, I agree with Jen. I think the Democratic Senate, to their credit, they've gotten budget reconciliation started. They are in position to get this $1.9 trillion deal. We've certainly been critical of certain aspects here, but they are managing to do both. And I do think that there should be some consequence to be paid for helping to stoke an insurrection at the Capitol. That shouldn't be something that we just stand by and go, well, it's okay. We'll just move on.
Well, a consequence was paid. He's not in office anymore, and I think this is going to hang around his neck for a very long time.
Because he lost
part of his legacy.
Election, though.
Right.
If this isn't impeachable, what is?
Well, 2 things I want to say. One, to Jen's point about walking and chewing gum at the same time, that is not impeachment. Impeachment stops the Senate. Impeachment halts everything that's happening in the Senate, and you can do nothing until it is done. So let's be clear about the fact that they are wasting and burning a week of floor time, the most precious commodity in the Senate. And I think to the second point, there's something to be said. I think there's an arrogance about making sure someone can never run for office again. I think Marco Rubio actually framed this correctly. If this is the precedent we're going to set with impeachment, if we are going to bar people from ever taking office, which is not, the Democrat Senate's choice, that's the voters' choice, then this is going to be a regular part of our politics now, and one I don't think is a helpful one.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad point, Rachel. And as I've said here, he passed a $2,000 check. You're not going to have to worry about Trump ever taking office again. But
hold on, I want to hear Jen respond to that.
Yeah.
What's your response, Jen?
I think that the Constitution prescribes this for a specific reason. I think it is to be used sparingly, like when a president incites an insurrection against the government. I think that it's a false equivalence to say that it would become a part of our politics for any other reason.
Well, all right, there we go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And coming up, coronavirus lockdowns prompted city dwellers to flee their overpriced confines in exchange for more spacious and cheaper work-from-home locations. Derek Thompson of The Atlantic is going to join us on What's Next.